Hi, it's Michelle, and it's day 6 of me sharing a little bit about my personal journey, which led me to where I am today as a life coach, Kundalini yoga teacher, and owner of O'Shea Yoga in Wyckoff, New Jersey. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary this January. So if you're interested in learning about earlier events on my timeline leading up to me opening the studio, feel free to visit earlier posts. Yesterday, I left off by sharing where, when, and how I was introduced to Kundalini Yoga. That being in India, I had taken a trip. In 2012, I attended the International Yoga Festival in Rishikesh, India, and I stayed at an ashram where this event took place called Paramath Nikitan. I had 5 amazing roommates, and together we took our first Kundalini Yoga class with Gurmukh. We were so incredibly blessed to have her as our teacher. Gurmukh is a world-renowned Kundalini Yoga teacher and just an amazing woman, soul, and teacher. And so after class, as I mentioned yesterday, I felt so alive, and it just seemed very natural, very organic for me. And not to say it was easy, but I loved the challenges of it. And so after class, my roommates and I wanted to meet Gurmukh, and I think we waited online. It could have been an hour. It was a long time. We were so eager to meet her and just be able to speak with her briefly. And so when we finally had that opportunity, Gurmukh had asked me where I was from. I mentioned New Jersey, and she shared right away that she had a studio in New York City, Golden Bridge, and she really encouraged me to go to Golden Bridge and enjoy their classes there and possibly enroll in teacher training, because I had told her how moved I was by her class and how natural and organic it felt for me. So I have to say, upon returning home from this trip to India, I immediately started taking classes at Golden Bridge. Within a couple weeks of attending classes there, I enrolled in a level 2 teacher training called Conscious Communications. I was so eager to start my teacher training, and I didn't want to wait until the level 1, which was taking place in October. So I enrolled in the level 2, and it was extraordinary 6 days in New York City at Golden Bridge. It was so incredibly empowering and transformational on many different levels. And that's really where it all began. I took the level 2, then I waited till October when the level 1 began at Golden Bridge, and I was very blessed to have Gurmukh and her husband Gur Shabid and an amazing team of teachers at Golden Bridge. I can go on and on and on about these most beautiful teachers and this program, this teacher training, and how moving and how transformational it was for me. And so I graduated in, I'm going to say, March or April of 2013, and a few months after that I started teaching at a local studio near my home, and I taught there for a little bit over a year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I also had begun my own daily sadhana, my own daily spiritual practice of yoga and meditation. And what I started to notice was that within a year, 3 chronic health issues that I had had for almost 10 years were gone. And so I had looked to this practice of yoga to find what was missing in my life, right? The piece of the puzzle that was missing that I had mentioned in an earlier post. But what I had no idea about was how healing this practice is. And so, yes, within a year, all 3 chronic health issues of mine were resolved. So this practice can be very healing to the body, mind, and most certainly connects you very deeply with your soul, your higher self. And so since teaching for, as I mentioned earlier, I was teaching for about a year and a few months at a local studio. Then I started to teach a class out of my home studio. And over the course of a year, we started to offer additional classes, and it became a home studio. And what happened was about 2 years, 2.5 years into having this home studio and teaching Kundalini Yoga, as well as having some other teachers teach other styles of yoga at the studio, someone had reported me for running a business out of my home. I was innocently running this studio out of my home, not knowing that I was doing anything wrong. And so I had to quickly find an alternative to the home studio because our community was really growing and it was such a beautiful community. And so I was so blessed to be able to immediately transfer our community, our classes, to a local church. And that worked out beautifully. And within a very short period of time, I found space near my home in Wyckoff, which was just perfect. And so I leased that space and we began to consider how we wanted to create the space. And we did a little bit of renovating and design work. And within a few months, O'Shea Yoga opened, and that was last January. And so the reason why I share with you some of these things, such as, having to leave the home studio because someone had reported me for running a business out of my home. While initially it was a little bit shocking and devastating to me, and I felt angry and upset, within 48 hours, I was able to just completely let that go. And then I began to see it as such an incredible blessing in my life because I was meant to bring these teachings out into the world, not stay small. Staying in my home studio kept me way too small. And there were people that were interested in trying Kundalini Yoga as well as other classes at the studio, but they didn't feel comfortable coming into my home. They felt a little awkward and funny. So it was most certainly keeping me small, but I was so comfortable, right? I'm sure there's part of what I'm sharing with you that's resonating with you. Sometimes we get so comfortable in whatever that may be. Maybe it's a relationship or a job, right? We get very comfortable, and when we're too comfortable, we become complacent, and we're less likely to really, truly, fully realize our potential. And when we don't honor our full potential, well, God, or you can say the universe, is going to make certain that you do what you need to do to fulfill that potential, to realize your destiny here. And that's just what the universe did to me. I wouldn't have left the home studio. I was so comfortable. It was so convenient, but I was staying so small. And the universe would have nothing to do with that. And so it gave me a big boot out of the home studio and said, get out there and share these teachings. So just a reminder to you, are there areas of your life that you're comfortable in and it's creating complacency? You're not optimizing your potential, or you're not fully realizing and living your destiny because you're comfortable. So let's get out of our comfort zones, right? That's where we're going to more fully recognize our potential and realize our potential. So that was my journey to opening the yoga studio last January. And tomorrow I'm going to conclude with my Facebook posts to share with you what that piece was that was missing in my life, that was revealed over time through my daily practice of Kundalini Yoga. Have a beautiful afternoon and evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.